So, if you've seen the title of this video, um, I'm pretty sure almost every single person has felt this in their life at least one point in time. Bro, I ain't gonna lie, I used to hate myself. Like, there was one very specific time in my life I hated myself. I hated what I was doing. I hated where I was at. I just hated where my life was at the time. It was like 2020. It was, yeah, beginning of 2021, and I dropped out of college. I was back at my mom's house. I was working two jobs. One was a warehouse job, one was a retail job. I was miserable, bro. I was miserable. Mind you, I was like, I was 18 at the time. I wasn't even 19 yet. I was 18. I was 18, and I hated what I was doing, and I hated where I was at because I didn't feel like I was where I should have been. I hated it. And if you're a little bit older than I am, I'm 24, mind you. If you're a little bit older than I am, or if you're around my age, you've probably felt the same way. In this video, I'm really just going to talk about why I hated myself, how I hated myself, and what I did while I hated myself. And also, I'm going to talk about the things that I did to get up out the situation and how I learned to love myself again. So, again, I went to college. I was a freshman in college, fall of 2020. It was a time, bro. I had a time of my life. Mind you, it was COVID, but I still had fun. I made good grades. Mind you, I'm a first generation college student, so I didn't know anything about college. I didn't know how to sign up for classes. I didn't know how to pay for classes. I didn't know anything about anything. So I was my classes was everywhere. My advisors were terrible. If you went to college, you know how terrible those advisors are. They suck. But anyways, 18, being in a whole different place without my family, most of my friends. I'm essentially by myself. Now, mind you, around this time, I'm a very, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm an extroverted person. I love talking to everybody. Even when I was moving my stuff in, I'm talking to everybody, trying to meet new people. I'm talking to girls, trying to, make friends and all of those things, right? So throughout that whole course of that first freshman semester, I had so much fun, bro. I was going out, I was drinking, I was doing things I really wasn't supposed to be doing. But I was still making sure my grades was taken care of. I didn't have a job, so I was broke. I didn't have any money. Now, mind you, I was surrounding myself with people that, truth be told, I shouldn't have been around. Which, in hindsight, which is probably true because everybody dropped out. Like everybody that I was hanging out with dropped out. I was the only one who went back to college and actually got his degree. But mind you, that's another story for another time. But yeah, I was hanging out with the wrong crowd. Again, I told you I was partying, I was drinking, I was doing so many things, and I didn't feel fulfillment. I didn't feel no type of fulfillment. And then I was getting my heart broken left and right, bro. Bro, I was going through it. Like I was going through it, bro. Like I remember I was talking to a girl, and I can go into full detail about this in another video. But I was talking to a girl, right? Mind you, she told me that she had a boyfriend back in her hometown. And you know what I did? Like a loser. Oh, I'll wait for you. Oh, we can still talk. So I go over to her dorm. We kicking it. We do some things, and we still talking and we kicking it. And then she drops me out of nowhere. Which thinking back on it now, of course that makes sense. But I was so heartbroken over that. And then I tried again with somebody else. She left me for somebody. Bro, I was going through it, yo. But needless to say, I was just so unhappy. And then I wasn't even working out at the time because I stopped doing sports. I didn't care about sports anymore. So I stopped working out. I stopped doing all the things that I love to do. I was just empty. I was fulfilling my empty desires, and I only felt emptier. So whenever Christmas came around, I got my job back at Polo because I left to go I left to go to school. So it was the holidays. I got my job back. I was working on Christmas, and I was making good. I was making money. I wasn't making good money, but I was making money at the time. So I'm loving it. And I was talking to somebody, and I was thinking, what if I drop out? I'm not happy on what I was doing. I'm not happy at school. I hated it. I went back home almost every weekend because I hated being at school. And I did. I dropped out. So that following semester, I did not return. I packed my stuff and I went home. Now, mind you, my mama wasn't happy, but she understood. My grandmother was pissed, yo. She was pissed. Very much pissed, and understandably so. So, I stayed working at Polo, and they loved to have me because I was not afraid to work extra hours. So I was working and working and working. I even went in when I wasn't on the schedule. I just showed up, and it was like, okay, you can work because I was that good of a worker at the time. And then I was like, this isn't enough money. So I picked up another job. It was a warehouse shop at Lowe's, which I can never work. I can never work for them again because I quit and I didn't say a word. I had no call, no show. So yeah, I ended up picking up a second job, and I was thinking extra money is gonna make me happy, so I can finally move out, get my own spot and whatnot. It just made me more miserable. I was tired all the time, yo. I was exhausted. I was depressed. I hated myself, and I tried going out and going to club and stuff with my friends and all of that were back home. I just felt emptier. This is the point in time I probably hated myself the most. I didn't like it because I told myself I wanted to be successful by the time I was 21, which you shouldn't do that. Do not give yourself a timeline because oftentimes it does not work out. Life is going to do what life does. As long as you putting in the work and being consistent, it's just going to work out. Now, is it going to work out in your favor or in your timeline? Most likely not, but it's going to work out nonetheless. But anyways, I wasn't happy. I wasn't doing anything. I was just working and not really enjoying myself. I was working. I was working 7 to 8 hours at Polo, and then I was working 12 hours. Now I was working 6 hours at Polo, and I was working 10 to 12 hours overnight at Lowe's. I was miserable. All I did was work, and I still wasn't making that much money. Like thinking back on it, that money was shit. That was not good money. I was tired. Mentally, I was tired. Physically, I was tired. And spiritually, I was drained. And I remember one specific night where all of that accumulated into this one moment where I felt like I was going to lose my life. It was in the middle of the night. I didn't have work that night. At least I didn't have work overnight at Lowe's, but I worked at Polo, so I got home and I stayed up late and I went to bed, tossing and turning. And I had a bad dream that I can't really remember the best. But I woke up in a panic. This is the first time I've ever had a panic attack. I woke up. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't see straight. I'm pacing back and forth in my room. I ended up running to the bathroom. I'm trying to look at myself to calm down, but I made it worse. So I stood there. I had my hands over my head. I'm breathing heavy. Tears are dropping down my face. I truly felt as if I was going to die at that time. I could not breathe. I thought I was suffocating myself. And time passes. I think I'm going through this. It felt like an hour, but in actuality, it was about 15 minutes. I'm going through this. I calm down. I'm panting heavy. It's a mixture of tears and sweats. I look at myself in the mirror, and it was just a look of despair, disappointment. And then it was an acknowledgement of that would never happen again. I walked back to my room. I listened to some music to calm my soul down a little bit more, and I went to sleep. And this dream that I had, it was a dream of me doing the things I love to do, playing sports, acting, being in front of the camera, just doing things that I love to do. I woke up and I felt renewed because that was when I decided I was going to get back in shape and go back to school and get my life back on track. So I did. And I told my mom this, and she was in full support. She helped me make meals. She just helped me a lot. So I went to work. Well, before I went to work, I started working out again. I'm tired. I'm out of shape like shit. I'm like, bro, what is going on? But that's the price that I had to pay. I had to relearn all that stuff again. It was difficult, but just being in the act of doing it again felt so damn refreshing. I started to feel like myself again. I'm applying to schools. I'm going to football camp so I can play sports again. All of that felt like I was moving with a purpose. And I think that's why I felt so depressed. I felt as if I was just moving along and not doing anything with my life. Yeah, I was making a little bit of money, but it wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't doing anything for my purpose. I wasn't happy. I wasn't living. I was just going through the motions. That's what I did when I hated myself. I was going through the motions. Again, I was fulfilling my empty desires that only did nothing but make me feel even more lonelier and even more emptier inside. So when I got back in the journey of me getting back in shape, trying to apply to go back to school and things of that nature, which is not me trying to tell you to go to school. If you feel like school isn't for you, then school's not for you. But for me, I feel like it was. And it was one of the best decisions that I ever made. Honestly, me dropping out and me going back to school, I needed that time period because I really needed to get to the bottom of the bottom to build myself back up. I needed to really to see the worst versions of myself so I can grow. And that's essentially what I did. I got back in shape. I went to the camps just so I can go back to the same school. But when I went back, as I was going back, I felt so much better about it. I felt more confident. Sure, I was alone, but I wasn't lonely. I needed that isolation. I needed that solitude so I can grow. And then that following semester, I met so many people and I learned so much and I did a lot as well. If you hate yourself right now, if you feel like you're in this process of going through the motions, you're not living. If you feel like you're not happy with where you're at in life right now, trust me, I understand you. There is somebody out in this world who understands you. There's a multitude of people who understand you because they're either gone through or they're going through right now. And I'm here to tell you, it's not too late and you're not alone. I want you to grab a piece of paper. Really think about, what do you hate about your life right now? What do you hate that you're doing? Write it down. And then write what you want to do. Write who you see yourself becoming. And I'm not talking about purpose. Just write, what do you like to do? What do you want to do? What do you do that helps your soul feel refreshed and renewed? Write those things down. And then after that, look at it. Look at the things that you're doing that you hate. And look at the stuff that you would like to do that you love. And start doing those things more. Take the time to become better and do that. And I'm not saying it's going to work overnight because it didn't for me. It definitely didn't work overnight. But as you really take the time, you'll find love for yourself again. The path is simple, but it's not easy. Man, if you like this type of video, if you like these style of videos, if you like what I was talking about, comment about something similar that you're going through or what you've gone through. Trust me, again, you're not alone. A lot of people have went through it and they would love to feel like they're not alone. And give some advice. If you got some advice, give it to them because they would love it. They would need it. Because I know my old self would have loved and needed that as well. And share. Do the whole 9. And until next time, I'll see you on the next one.